Today's episode of Ham Radio 2.0 is brought to you by Gifts for Hams. Find their website at www.gifts4hams.com. Get your call sign or club logo engraved on virtually anything you want. Specializing in ham radio related gift ideas, Gifts for Hams is your one-stop shop for lighted call sign displays, coffee mugs, coasters, drinking glasses, smartphone cases, and so much more. Laser engraving and etching to show off your ham radio call sign or club. Shop gifts4hams.com and tell them that Ham Radio 2.0 sent you.
Hello YouTube, this is Rich, KG5RBG from Conroe, Texas. You're watching the Ham Radio 2.0 video podcast series available on livefromthehamshack.tv and YouTube. 73s and see you on DMR.
IP address KC5H192.168.1.37.
Okay. That's the internal IP of the Raspberry Pi running the Allstar software. Good afternoon. Welcome to Ham Radio 2.0, live from the Ham Shack. My name is Jason. I'm KC5HWB. Today's episode is going to be kind of like an overview of an Allstar node. We're not going to go through the set. Well, we're going to go through a little bit of the setup, how to set up an Allstar node. I'm going to show you the way that I did it. There's multiple images out there you can use, and there's multiple different pieces of hardware you can use and this kind of thing. So I'm going to show you what I currently have, what I'm planning to build, and go from there. So if you found me on YouTube, go hit up my website at livefromthehamshack.tv. You'll be able to see all the episodes I have done to date and check out new episodes upcoming. Again, this is episode 114, and is this airing first Monday of October 2017. I'm hoping to get this video up on Monday. If you watched my show last week, I was saying that I've been having some trouble getting them up on Mondays. My goal is to have a new show posted every Monday. Sometimes it's Tuesday before I actually get it up there and all edited and published and everything to YouTube, and sometimes I finish the editing at like 11 o'clock at night, and I click on, or I finish the rendering to edit, and I've got the final file at 11 o'clock at night, and I upload it to YouTube, and it takes an hour and a half to upload to YouTube, and I just go to bed, and I finish it the next day. That happens a lot, actually. A lot of times I'm working on it late into the night Monday, and it just... I'm thinking about pushing it back and saying new episodes are going to release on Tuesday, but right now it's Monday. So we'll see how long I can keep that going. Anyway, Allstar. If you've never heard of Allstar before, Allstar is an internet linking system via IP, an IP linking system on the internet. And it links repeaters together over the internet, analog repeaters together over the internet. It is not a digital system. It's not DMR. It's not D-Star. It's very similar to Echolink, but I think the audio quality on an Echolink system... I'm sorry, the audio quality on an Allstar system is better than an Echolink system. Kind of depends. You can work with Echolink RLP to kind of tweak them a little bit and make them sound pretty good, but for the most part, Allstar has just better audio quality. I've been using a mobile node, this mobile node right here. This is a very temporary node. This is a Baofeng UV-82 5-watt HT, and it's a very temporary setup, but I've been using a mobile node for the last 2 or 3 weeks in my pilot car as I'm going out driving around doing this new job that I do, and I connect the Raspberry Pi. You can't see it, it's off the camera right here. Connect the Raspberry Pi to my mobile hotspot, and then connect the radio to the Raspberry Pi, and then use the DTMF codes or use the image on the Raspberry Pi, runs an Allstar software, and then through DTMF codes you connect one node to another node and this kind of thing. So it makes it real robust and easy to use. So, the air conditioner is off right now, so I'm going to see how long I can stand it. It's been running for most of the afternoon, so it's nice and cool in here right now. Got a little bit of sweat, but that's because I just came in from outside. So I'm going to have to turn the air conditioner back on here shortly. All right, so basically, to set up an Allstar node, you need an analog radio. You need a Raspberry Pi running a certain... well, there's a couple of different images out there you can run. Now, the one that I like is done by... I forget the ham's name who did this one, but I found it on Fred... W0FCM, his website. So, let's see. This is a good graphical representation right here of how this is your handheld connected to a node radio, connected to a Raspberry Pi via what's called a sound fob or DMK, connected to a hotspot, connected to possibly a smartphone or tablet, and then connected to the internet running an Allstar link. So you can go to allstarlink.org and create an account. It's a free account, and then once you log in, you can go here and you can go to node and request node. I've currently got 3 nodes assigned to me, but I'm only using one of them right now. But I'm fixing to set up a second node here at the house. Node configuration. There they are. There's my 3 nodes right there. 43136 is the one I've been using mobile here lately. You can go to all online nodes, and then you can search here by node number. You can see that some of the earlier ones are 4 digits. Most of the ones now are 5 digits. You can search by call sign, of course. You can search by city and state, country, assuming that they've set that up and told you, hey, this is where I am. See, there I am right there. So I haven't put any notes in my node yet, but that's 43136. My call sign, I'm in Grapevine, Texas, and I've been online for 6 minutes. I just moved the node out here and booted it up right here. So basically, you can set up a node to be portable, or you can set one up at the house, or you can set one up pretty much anywhere you want. I have got mine running, well, I've only got one set up right now, but I can take it into the car and take it out to the house and bring it out to the shack. I can take it anywhere I want to. Okay, so a minute ago I mentioned images used. You can get an image from the Allstar website, I think. I tinkered with one of those several months ago, and it's fine. Nothing wrong with it. But this one right here by Doug Crompton, WA3DSP, and he's got a YouTube video right there, actually. But you can go here to this website, and you can download his image, which is the image that I am currently using. Go to download, I think. Right. The Win32 Disk Manager is the Windows utility that will write an image file to a micro SD card for a Raspberry Pi. So if you follow these steps here, if you've ever set up a Raspberry Pi to do an Echolink node, or if you've ever set up a Raspberry Pi to do, if you ever used a Russell KB5 RAB's image to set up a Raspberry Pi to do DMR stuff like MD380 tools and MMDVM host and all that kind of good stuff, then you've probably used this Win32 Disk Manager utility. What you do is you take your micro SD card, a blank micro SD card, and these are the images right here. You take a blank micro SD card and you put it into your laptop, your Windows machine. Okay, you can get an adapter for it or a SD card reader or something like that. And you put it into your Windows machine and it mounts it. And then the Win32 utility takes an image file similar to what we're seeing on the screen right here. This is the one that I'm using, the RPi 2-3 image version 1.5 release candidate 2 self-extracting exe. Or you can get a self-extracting exe, or you can get a image.xz file if you're loading it from a Linux box. But I just used this one, and then you use the Win32 utility, and it takes this image and it writes it to the SD card, and it makes the SD card a bootable drive. Okay, so that when it boots up into a Raspbian version of the Linux OS, and it already has everything installed on it that you need. It's real simple. It doesn't take much effort. So go to this website. Again, if you're watching the video, I'll have links from these websites in my episode 114 blog post at livefromthehamshack.tv. So go up there and look for episode 114, and I'll have links to all this stuff down there. So you take that and you create your bootable drive. You put it into a Raspberry Pi. This is a Pi 3 with Wi-Fi enabled on it. I have a Pi 2 in the house that I'm probably going to make into my home base node. It actually has an 802.11 Wi-Fi USB card in it, so I can use it on Wi-Fi also, but I'll probably just plug it into my Ethernet here at the house. It makes it easier. So you take this in and you put the micro SD card right here, and you just apply power to the Raspberry Pi, and then it boots up and it comes up to a screen, and I'm going to show you guys what this screen looks like. Give me a second here. Let's see. Move my microphone around. Okay, so I am SSH'd through an application called Putty. A lot of you IT guys are probably familiar with Putty, and some of you Linux guys may be familiar with Putty, but I'm SSH'd into, this is the OS that's running on this Raspberry Pi right now. So I'm SSH'd from my Windows laptop through my network into my Raspberry Pi, and this is how it's connected right now. So you can do different things in here. You can set your root password, perform a system update, change a primary node number. There's a couple of steps. If you go to W0FCM's website and follow the steps for how to set up an initial node, that's what I've done here with Doug Crompton's image to get this running. So I'm not going to go through much of that today. I might do an episode later on. We'll see what kind of feedback I'd get from this episode. I might do an episode later on about how to set up from scratch an operating system to run an Allstar node. This will not be the last episode that I do on Allstar, I can tell you that right now. But what I am today is mainly going to go through the hardware, okay? Because when I first went to go set up an Allstar node, that was the main question on my mind. I'm like, what hardware do I need? How do I interface it to this computer? How do I interface it to this computer? How do I interface it to another computer? How do I interface it to this radio? You know, how would I do an HT? How would I do a mobile radio? You know, what do I need to connect the Raspberry Pi to the radio? That kind of thing. That was my main question. That was the main unknown area that I had questions about when I first got into Allstar. Those of you who are familiar with Raspberry Pi, setting up the image is just like setting up an image to do anything else on a Raspberry Pi. There's nothing different. It's just running this Allstar application on a Raspbian OS. That's all it is. So you can. So I'm not going to go through much of that today, but what I will do is I'm going to show you. Now I found a buddy of mine, Fred, another Fred, W5MGM Fred, told me about a gentleman that was making his own.
The time is 5 o'clock p.m. KC5HWB.
That's this node identifying right now. At the top of the hour, it says the time, and it it identifies. You can set that to identify via voice or via Morse code. So I have that done via voice right now, obviously. So I have a couple of things here. I'm going to reboot this node real quick. There's a gentleman named, oh gosh, what is his name? I'll tell you what his name is. Hold on. So a lot of you will use what's called a URI cable. And this is basically a sound card interfaced between USB, which goes into the Pi, and a DB25 connector, which goes into a radio somewhere. There's a company called URI that makes this cable. It's about 70 or 80 bucks. And they work great. I do not have... I don't have a URI branded cable. I have a home-built cable. Okay. Nope. Let's see. I'm pulling this, trying to find this guy's email. He didn't have a. This guy didn't have a website. That I've seen. I've not seen him on a website. But anyway, there's another ham that made this cable, and I'll find his name here in just a second. George is his name, and he makes these himself, and they're much less expensive than the URI branded cable. Now the URI cable is probably a little bit more robust, but it's this one right I have has been working just fine. Okay, here we are. Okay, George is W Whiskey Bravo 3 Delta Zulu Zulu. Okay, so George WB3 DZZ makes this cable, a sound fob, and he charges about 20 bucks for this cable to interface from a radio to a Raspberry Pi. So this is one option for connecting a radio to a Raspberry Pi. It's not the only option. This was the first option I used. George also, for $50, will sell you a modified UV-82. He's taken the flashlight out of the UV-82 and taken a DB25 connector. That this side is male, this side's female. And he's interfaced it and he's soldered it into the board on the UV-82 so that you can simply plug this guy into the sound fob that he makes, and then plug this into your Raspberry Pi like that. And then of course you set your radio for you can it's whatever's set on the bottom band. You set it for 2 meters, 440. You can set a PL tone, and you put it on low power. I run mine on low power. It's running about 1 watt right now. So I just rebooted the Raspberry Pi after I reconnected the radio and the and the what's called a sound fob, or a DM. Some people call it a DMK. I think DMK is a URI term, but
IP address KC5HWB192.
and that's the IP address that it's pulling from my home network right now. So, 75 bucks for every, well, plus the Raspberry Pi. $75 for the radio with the modified cable and the sound fob DMK, plus the Raspberry Pi, which is with the case I've got here and the power supply. Probably about 50 bucks for the Raspberry Pi setup, including the SD card, and then the micro SD, and then the image is of course a free download from the website I just showed you. And you're ready to go. Okay, and then you just go through the setup process, and you can follow the instructions on this website right here about how to set up an Allstar node. So there's some really involved, some really, really good pictures here that Fred, W0FCM Fred, has taken. There's two guys named Fred have been working with us on this. So he's got a good stuff here. So that's one way to interface it. Now, so what I can do, give you guys a demonstration. Let me see if I can connect. I'm going to turn this one down. It's best to keep your node radio down, volume down. KC5HWB testing. Now I'm on 446.125 right now, and I'm not connected to anything. So I'm not connected to another node. I'm transmitting on my own node on low power here and low power here. So it's getting out. Somebody across the street, maybe down the road, could hear me, but it's not connected to a repeater system right now. It is on the internet, but it's standalone on the internet right now. So I'm going to see if I can connect to another node.
Node
There we go.
46281 connected to node 43136.
KC5HWB testing. So I'm connected to my buddy's node, Rod, KD5HQF.
Sounds good, Jason.
That's James, KB5RIR. Okay, James, thanks a lot, man. I'm recording a video on demonstrating an Allstar node right now.
Outstanding. Did you get that email from me? It's got a copy of my RPT config file in it. It's got that node stands at the bottom of it. Might help with your problem connecting the rod if you put those in there.
Yeah, for some reason, I have trouble connecting to this node when I'm mobile, but when I'm here at the house, it works fine. Yes, I got your email. I have not applied those changes yet. When I bring the node into the house, it works fine connecting from my home internet. It just doesn't work over the... Well, it works sometimes and sometimes not when I connect to it over my mobile hotspot. So I don't know what the difference there is. But yeah, I got it. I'll probably tinker with that later on this week.
Awesome. Okay. Have fun, man. I'm trying to get this Collin County code plug over this other radio. It's giving me fits. Taking it from a handy-talkie to a 800 MCS 2000. All I keep getting is out of range. All right, buddy. Catch you later. KB5RR.
All right, James. Appreciate it, man. Have a good one. KC5HWB. So, I am connected to... Belton is next weekend, by the way. I am going down on Friday. I'll be there. There's usually a pretty good shindig in the parking lot on Fridays. A couple guys get there real early. I think a couple guys get there Thursday night, actually. And then they have a kind of like an outdoor tailgate sales thing and just kind of hanging out, chatting, rag chew on Friday. But unfortunately, I got something to do on Saturday this year, so I won't be able to make the actual show on Saturday. But I will be there on Friday.
Okay. Cool deal. We'll see you then, and I'll be there too. Just look for the red Freightliner, and I'll be wearing a red shirt and a red hat, so I kind of stick out. I'm real skinny, so if I'm sideways, you might not see me.
Yeah.
So you have to look kind of hard if I'm turned sideways to you. And I'll be wearing glasses, mustache, red hat, red shirt. Over, Rover.
Okay, man. That sounds good. Yeah, I'll look for you. Probably going to take my DMR repeater down there, although I'll only be there on Friday. But I should have my mobile node, my mobile Allstar node running at the same time also. So I should be on the air both here and on DMR. I'm up in the air about the DMR repeater. I may or may not take it since I'm not going to be there for the whole show, but I'll definitely have the Allstar node with me.
I'll have my Allstar node and my 9250 on me, so I'll be by Allstar the whole time I'm there. truck. So, sounds good. Mine's on 927.500 if you got a 900 talkie with a PL of 100.
Not handy.
It'll get out like a bad rumor all over town. See you, buddy. KB5R.
Yeah, but 220 will get out farther. All right, pal. I'm sure I'll talk to you this week sometime, and if not, I'll see you this weekend. KC5HWB. So, that is me connected to, well, here's the screen right here. This application's called Almon, and I am connected right here. You can see my node number right here is connected to node 46281, which is my buddy Rod, KD5HQF. That's his hub node at his home QTH in Howell, Texas. James, KB5RRR, has another hub node in Dallas at thetexasconnection.net, and he has his hub node connected to Rob's hub node, you can see right here. Or it might be the other way around because you can see Rod's call sign here. So one of these nodes is connected to the other node somehow. I am connected, you can see me right here, I'm connected to 46281, but you see me, and when I key up 46281, you see Rod's call sign key up on this node, because these two nodes, so I'm connected to 3 different nodes right now, but I'm only physically, my node's connected to one, and then the other 2 nodes are connected together. So you can kind of bunny hop nodes like that. If I key up like that, KC5HWB testing, you see how Rod's call sign, KD5HQF, came up right here, but I'm the one who keyed up, I keyed up Rod's node, and then Rod's node keyed up this node, and then this node keyed up this node right here. So you can connect or disconnect these 3 nodes to one another, from one another, or maybe to another node somewhere else. All of these right here, most of these right here, a few of these are nodes and a few of these are repeaters. Most of these right here are nodes. These 2 are nodes. So you can interface a node into a repeater. You can have it as a standalone simplex node, which is what this is. I'm on 446.125, and you can connect different stuff different way that way. So that is a demonstration of Allstar. The second way, and this is the one I'll probably have to do another video on later, because I just found out about this. So this is what's called a RIM Alinco device. I don't know if we can zoom in on that. My long-term goal for building an Allstar node has always been to use a 220 radio. This is an Alinco DR235T right here, and it has a DB9 port on the back. These radios come stock from the factory with a DB9 port. You can get this radio in 2 meters, 220, or 440 monoband, and all of them have the DB9 connector on the back. So into that DB9 connector goes this little device, which you buy from Repeater Builder. And once again, I will have, see if the camera can focus. I will have a link to this on the video. There it goes. On the blog post. Okay, so this little DB9 connector here connects to the back of the Alinco via this port right here. And then on the back side of this board is a mini USB connector. So it comes with, this is a mini USB cable, USB to mini USB cable. So what I do is I take this little board here, and it's pre-wired for the Alinco. Now you can get what's called a RIM Max Track. That's a what is it, like the 25-pin connector on the back of a Motorola Max Track radio. One of these pins is bent. It's not a big deal. I'll just bend it back in place. So you can get a RIM Max Track, or you can get what's called a full-blown RIM cable, and all of this is on Repeater Book. Let's see. RIM. Alinco. See if I can pull that up real quick. Did I say Repeater Book? Repeater Builder. Repeater Builder. USB RIM Lite. A RIM Lite, or also, they call it a RIM Max Track. There's a picture of it right there. It connects to the back of a Motorola Max Track radio, so you can use a monoband Motorola Max Track to do this. A lot of guys like to use the Motorola's better. I'm not. You know how I feel about Motorola's. Motorola's are fine radios. I'm not a moto head. I don't think they're God's answer to amateur radio. They're not even really amateur radios at all. But they work fine. They work great for a setup like this. But I wanted an Elenco because, number one, I wanted a 220 megahertz radio. And you can find a Motorola radio in 220. In fact, that's what I'm going to do. If I build a 220 repeater, I'm going to use two CDM 1250 LS radios. But they're few and farther between. They only hold 16 channels, which is not a big deal for a repeater, or node, really. They're just, but they don't have a VFO. So this has a VFO. So if I'm going along sometime and I was like, you know what, I want to change frequencies, and I'm done. So this connection goes in the back of the radio, and then this cable that comes with the RIM Elenco connects from the mini USB port on the board directly into the Raspberry Pi, and you do not need this sound card fob DMK. Okay. This is I say it's brand new. I just got this. I actually got two of them because I have two of these Elenco radios. So I got two of these boards, which comes with the cable. I'm going to mount this radio in my pilot car, run it on low power, and then I'll have a Raspberry Pi mounted with it. And this will be my mobile node. And then I'm going to build another one exactly like this and set it up at the house to run as my hub node from inside the house right here, so that I can, when I'm out driving around on a road trip, I can connect from my mobile node back to my hub node, and I can talk to my wife. She's got her amateur radio Callsign. I can connect my hub node to one of the local nodes here. There's several repeaters coming up in the Dallas-Fort Worth area that are starting to have Allstar. We didn't have Allstar. We didn't have anything Allstar here for the longest time. But the new 220 machine on the Roston Tower has Allstar. So if I'm going to go to mostly 220, now I don't have to connect to another 220 radio if I'm connecting via Allstar, like I would on an RF link. Okay, same thing as Echolink, really. So there's a local system here that's got an Allstar link, and I could connect my Allstar node on 220 to that UHF link, that UHF repeater here, and I could talk to them just like I'm sitting next to them. And it sounds pretty darn good. There's a little bit of tweaking you got to do if you're running a repeater with an external controller, okay? But some guys are just saying, use the Raspberry Pi as your controller. Don't use an external controller. Use a Raspberry Pi as your controller and use that RIM cable. This right here is the RIM Elenco. You can see they're $50. Let's see what layout looks like. PDF, yeah. So that's kind of like a schematic board layout there. And then you can, this module does not work with the dual band Elenco mobile. Here's one to customize to be plug and play with the Arcom RC210. There you go. Okay. So you can interface these with this is the RIM Max Track. This is the RIM Max Track RM. Very similar to the RIM Max Track. RM stands for repeater maker. Okay. The RM adds a second. Okay, so this is the one. This is the one right here that you would want if you were building a repeater out of two Max Track or two Motorola radios. So you get this, you get a Raspberry Pi, get two Motorola radios, put it out in your repeater shack, configure it all together, put it up on an external antenna, and you've got a repeater with an Allstar link that you can connect to and from anywhere else. And then, of course, if your repeater tower is up high, people driving around town can talk on the repeater just the same way they could any other repeater. So that's kind of neat. So this, I'm hoping to do an episode on this RIM Max Track RM. That's what I'm hoping to do, because I've got two Motorola CDM 1250 LS radios that a guy has for me that I'm going to be purchasing. And they're 220 megahertz, and I think they're 25 watts each. I think that's what they are. Regardless of that, I can put an amp on it later. But I'm going to build a repeater out of them and hopefully find a tower spot here around the Grapevine Mid-Cities area And my fingers crossed hope is to actually find a second location down on the island of Galveston, put up another 220 repeater down there for people to use, and then Allstar link those back together, probably 100% of the time, so that if I'm talking on 220 around DFW and Grapevine, and somebody's down on 220 in Galveston, we can talk back and forth, and it sounds like we're talking on the same repeater together. So, I haven't got a spot in Galveston yet. If you're in Galveston or you know someone in Galveston, you got a tower site, let me know. So, that's how, but anyway, it's all RF linked together over the internet. This is similar to, see that picture right there, that's the RIM Alenco board. This is the RIM MaxTrack board. RIM Lite family of products. So repeater-builder.com/products/USB-RIM-lite.html. Again, I'll have that link on my episode page on livefromthehamshack.tv. So that is an Allstar node. And there's not much more to it than that. Raspberry Pi, the correct image, an interface between the Raspberry Pi and the radio, which can either be this DMK sound fob or can be this RIM board, depending on whether you want to use an Alenco or a Motorola or some other radio. There's other radios out there with these types of connectors in the back. There's some schematics online where you can take a TYT TH9000, which also comes in 2 meters, 220 or 440 monoband. You can take this TH9000, and on the back of a 9000 right here, you can take this little port off. You can, if you feel it, it's this just like a little piece of paper covering the port, and you can solder a DB9 connector to certain points on the board in this radio and put a DB9 connector back here, and you can have a TYT TH9000 as a link radio, or it works just like the Alenco. Now, it's not the same quality as the Alenco, obviously, but these radios work fairly well. And this is 55 watts on 220, and this one's 25 watts on 220. Now, as a simplex node radio, that doesn't really matter because you're going to want to probably run low power. This one that I'm going to mount in the car, I'm going to do another episode on that later. This one I'm going to mount in the car is going to be running like 5 watts most of the time with an external antenna. Done. Well, I might put a dummy load on it. I haven't decided yet. I'm going to do some experimenting with it. But if you're going to run a hub node and you're in a location where maybe you've got the ASL of your home QTH is pretty good, 600, 700, 800 feet above sea level, ASL above sea level. I don't have that option in my location. My whole neighborhood's down in a valley. We're only about 580 right here, and there's several of my neighbors in outlying cities that are just over 700. So my whole neighborhood's down in the valleys. But, you know, if you're in a good spot and you say, well, I've got an outside antenna out there that's 20, 30, 40 feet in the air, and put up a monoband antenna or a dual band antenna or a 220 antenna if you're like me. And James was using 900, as he just said. He's got two MCS 2000 900 megahertz radios running on, well, he's got one MCS 2000 900 megahertz running. That's the node IDing with my call sign. So he's running 900 megahertz because basically you can, if you can find a Motorola radio with a 25-pin connector in the back of it or a DB9 in the back of it, then you can use one of these RIM devices and go from there. So anyway, guys, that is pretty much it. It is not as complicated as what I originally thought it would be. I'll put it that way. It's not as complicated as what I originally thought it would be. It's actually fairly easy to set up. Now, Fred W0FCM, he did my initial setup on the Raspberry Pi for me, so I need to go back and talk to him again and say, okay, write down some steps. I think they're all on his website, but I need to make sure I have the steps written down for how to set up another node, because I want to set up a second node. This is going to be the one that goes in my car. I'm going to set up a second node here at the house, as I already said. I may do another episode on that one and just say, you know, this is what this is going to be. But if anyone's out there and uses Allstar, I don't have any port forwarding going on my mobile node right now. They say you can't do that. Yeah, you can, but you got to have a really specialized mobile hotspot router that'll handle port forwarding. And I'm working on that. I actually have one. I just don't have it set up yet. So I should be able to port forward, and you should be able to connect to 43136 Allstar from your Allstar node or your Allstar repeater. But in the comments of the video, if some of you guys out there run Allstar on a regular basis, put your Allstar node number in the comments of the video, either at livefromthehamshack.tv or on YouTube, and I'll connect up to you and give you a shout a few times. So 73 guys. Thanks for watching. This is KC5HWB with Ham Radio 2.0. We'll see you guys next week. Belton Ham Fest on Friday. Anybody who's there, look for me. I'll be in a blue Ford F-250, and I'll probably have this node running either on 446.125, or if I've switched over to 220 by then, which maybe I'll get a chance to, maybe I won't. If I've switched over to 220 by then I'll be on 223.600. Okay? 223.600 or 446.125. So 73, see you at Belton next weekend, and the Monday after that we'll have a video about Belton.
This has been Ham Radio 2.0, a YouTube production by KC5HWB. Visit our website at www.livefromthehamshack.tv. Please also stop by our Facebook page at fb.me/hamradio2. Be sure and subscribe here on YouTube to keep up with all the new videos that are posted nearly every Monday. 73s everyone, and thanks for watching.